guys. Just doing some admin stuff here while I get everything set up. Every time I start this, it always ends up throwing YouTube up and I get this echo. So give me a second here, guys. I think I got that all taken care of. Great. So hey, everybody. Sean Dotson here with The Flip Side. I want to welcome you all to another night of Fennsomnia, the non-PC beer drinking up late at night. You got Fenn on the brain talking show. But tonight I am drinking agua fria. I could probably lie to you all and tell you it was vodka, but no, I have to work early tomorrow, and if I want to be up late, I want to be able to function tomorrow. So cheers to you guys. Low volume, huh? I've got the camera sunburnt. No, I get a lot of sun because I'm out a lot. So let me see if I can move this here, see if that mic gets a little bit better. Anyway, I don't like getting too close. But anyways, hey, William, how are you? Say hi to everybody in here. I think Jimmy Fast is claiming to be the FRB in here tonight, but actually Sir Crow jumped in here like, I don't know, it was like 6 o'clock this evening or something and was saying hi, but I kind of have to give it to Sir Crow, but Jimmy, I guess you get it as well. So we'll give it to both of you. Craig Carter, how are you? Alan K, Jimmy Fast, I was talking to you. William, Anon, hello. Lori James, Yellow Stoner, 90 TT, and Sean Martinez. Hey, Sean, how are you? How did everything go with your thing that you were doing? I know you weren't available the other night to jump in the show. I asked Sean Martinez to come in and join Mike DeCall and I on the whole subjective objective chat, because I thought, his background as being a homicide detective, I thought it would have been great getting his point of view on somebody who's actually had to deal a lot with that in investigating. So I'm keeping an eye out. I did invite a special guest tonight into the show. We're going to see if that person can make it in. And if he does, that's great. So we'll get them in here and prop them in. So just keeping an eye on that. So I got to move this chat over here. I can see what's going on. Do I look orange? Yeah, I don't know. Do I look like Trump? That's what you're trying to say. I don't know if it's. I've got these. I got to show you guys here. I've got these. I don't know what you call them. Let's see it here. There we go. Right above me are these. Zooming out here. This is weird trying to hold this. I don't know if you guys can see it, but these are kind of like those Edison light bulbs. You can kind of see them. I guess they give off a different glow than the LEDs that I have back behind here. We've got those, so you can kind of see all this as a little shot of the house around in here. Quick now, y'all can see my load. But yeah, those lights above me made me look. Can't hear. Is that right? Lori James, do you have your volume up on yours? Can anybody else hear me? Huh. I don't know. I haven't changed any defaults or anything. I've got this volume all the way up. My daughter just came out. Hold on, guys. Yes. 1 second, guys. Be right back. I know why it is, guys, because I have these plugged in and I forgot to put them on. That is why. How is that volume now? Sorry, guys. That's the big reason why. I have these set up because if I have another guest in, you won't hear me. So let me pull these off. If that guest shows up, then. Can you guys hear me okay? That was what the problem was. Sorry, I had them plugged in the USB. And that was why you could not hear me. So hopefully you guys can hear me now. And again, I'm keeping an eye out for Bill Gorman, I invited him on the show tonight, so hopefully he can make it in. He did say something, he had to go out and water the sagebrush. I don't know if that means he needs to go out and take a leak outside the camper or what he's got to do. But so yeah, I don't know if any of you guys were watching A Gypsy's Kiss tonight. I did jump in there. I called in and talked shortly with them, about the whole this special place. Forrest Fenn special place. And I think Toby in his 1 o'clock show was talking about, what makes a place special to somebody. And their thoughts and ideas was that, that there had been a special moment that was shared with, Forrest Fenn and somebody. And then that kind of went into them thinking that it could be that moment could have been with like Marvin, Eric, or Skippy, I think is what they were thinking. But the thing what I called in and talked to them about was I think that they had kind of left out the possibility that that person could be Peggy, because in that chapter Flywater, again, here's a poem purist, not talking about the poem, right? But in that chapter Flywater, and I'll pull it out here just so I can read it. I don't have this memorized. So give me a second to find that. And somebody else could probably tell me exactly where it's at. And we can go on that one. Tea with Olga, Teachers with Ropes. Where are we at here? Flywater. Okay, in the very last paragraph in there, and Toby and Shelley quoted this, they said, and when my tackle box is closed, and at last, and the caddis hatch is gone, I will rest through all of time and space, pillowed down and scented in with the smile that comes from remembering the special things that brought me to that final place, one of which was knowing Peggy was there somewhere waiting for me. And that just made me think, that what if that one person that shares that knowledge of the location is Peggy. And what I mean by the location or knowledge of that is that Peggy may have been there at one point in time to this area that the treasure chest is. And what I mean by that is, and I was telling Toby on there, is not that exact spot, 10 by 10 by 5 inch spot that the treasure chest rests, but really that location, general regional area. Now, whether you think that's Yellowstone or you think that's somewhere in Montana, Colorado, or New Mexico, it's highly likely that Peggy at one point in time has been there with them. And maybe, like he advises us, if you have a searching partner, have them wait in the car. Maybe at one point in time, while Forrest went somewhere, and went fishing, and Peggy stayed in the car and, read magazines or something, but she didn't go to that, precise spot with them. So yeah, I still listen to him sometimes, Sledneck. I'll throw on his show and not necessarily watch it, but I'll listen to the, kind of like you would a podcast. Why not? I still listen to other people. Just because Toby and I had a disagreement in the past doesn't mean I still don't respect, his thoughts and opinions. We just disagreed on, what took place last year. That doesn't mean I still don't think he has, valuable input on things. I listen to just about anybody. So let me check my email to see if maybe Bill emailed if he's having some problems or something. I did get an email. He says, don't see any by email yet. Okay, I sent it to the wrong email. Let's see if I can get it to him here. That's what it was. Okay, Bill, if you're watching, I see I just resent it to you. Let me get back over here. That's what the problem was. Okay, so I just sent Bill the new link. Hopefully he gets it. Bill's come on before on the after party show once before, and that was a lot of fun. So he knows how to get into Zoom. So hopefully he'll get in here real quick. But I sent it to a different email that I had of his, but he has two emails, and that's why I had mentioned in his over in on his live show tonight that I hope I got his email right. So I actually sent it to one that he wasn't using, so I had to send it to his other one. I won't say what that is because I don't know if he wants everybody to have that. Did I send it to DeCall? No, I'm gonna be polite. And that whole thing, and Bill and I can talk about that, but I think that there's a little bit of just a simple misunderstanding between Bill and DeCall. And I've talked to DeCall offline, about it, and DeCall's not, he's not mad or anything at him. He still likes listening to Bill, and it's fun. I mean, Bill and DeCall both have very imaginative solves, and that's what's so, in my opinion, what's so great about this. There's Bill. Give me a second, guys. Let's see if I can get him in there. Give me a second, Bill. Then I'm gonna have to unmute you when I get you in here. Hold on, Bill.
On the right camera.
There you are. Hey, Bill.
Hey.
How are you doing?
All right.
Do you got your chat up so you can see the chat?
I could put the chat on my computer, I think.
Yeah, and then mute whatever device you got because we're getting feedback.
That's okay.
That's probably on my end. Let me put my headphones in. It might be on my end, Bill. Hold on. We'll figure this out.
It's too big.
Yeah, Davio, I hear what you're saying. To call just like anybody else can be pretty opinionated. I think 23 Monarcha one time, he went off on 23 Monarcha one time too. I don't know. Maybe DeCall has a low tolerance for certain things once in a while, but we're all different in this thing, There's things that DeCall and I completely disagree upon, but we just agree to disagree and move on. So Davio, wait, I don't think I've ever really asked you, where exactly are you in California? Because I grew up, and there's a guy by the name of Charlie who posts, or I haven't seen him in a while, but he used to post there on Dale Neitzel's site, and I've talked with him on a couple of private emails back and forth. But he was kind of from the Santa Rosa Hillsburg area, and I kind of grew up in that area. And then the later years, after '86 to when I graduated, '89, and was Sonora, California. I don't know if you're familiar with Sonora. Sonora is about an hour and a half, depending on traffic, outside of Yosemite.
Should be.
Yeah, I can hear you good, Bill.
Oh, okay.
I see you got the disco light going.
Yeah, that's Christmas light.
That's some ambiance.
And these aren't working, but is it still giving you feedback or anything?
It's better without the earphones, as long, I guess, if you can hear me and you're not getting any feedback, I guess, going back and forth.
I had to turn off the Bluetooth. The Bluetooth was giving the feedback.
Right. And yeah. William is saying in the chat room, he's wondering if you are actually secretly my father.
No, I'm not a priest.
I am your father.
I'm not a priest, but I do have a minister's certificate.
So you are ordained, correct?
So yeah, I could be your father.
in that sense, right?
My son is a guard at a military guard.
Yeah,
he's one of the camo dudes.
What you had him on one of your shows one time before? What's what branch of military, and where's your son at? If you don't mind sharing.
He was in the Army. He's civilian security.
Okay.
For the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Seeker just jumped in there. How are you? Seeker, are you the same Seeker that posts over on Dal Neitzel's, or is this a different Seeker? I just wanted to make sure I know who I'm talking to. Don't know if it's the same. I mean, there's probably many people that use that moniker. And there's Mama Bear, my wife, the Mrs. Dodson. She jumped in. Hi, babe. Good to see you. Babe, I'm drinking water. Bradley just made it home. My daughter tonight went to a BMX bike race with her cousin and actually ended up racing herself. And she did really good, really surprising. She did very well. We just taught her how to ride a bike, a couple weeks ago. And that was fun. We went no training wheels, just straight 2 wheels, and she did awesome. So no, you're not the same seeker. Okay. Anyway, Bill, so yeah, we're watching your live chat and everything else, and just thought, well, heck, let's get Bill in here and let's bullshit and talk. So, Bill, how are you?
I'm looking to see when the screen catches up with me. I was trying to look at the chat on the computer, and my head was turned away from the camera.
Yeah, if you're watching the live chat, like on YouTube, it'll be like a 20-second delay. It'll really throw you off.
Yeah.
But if you watch the Zoom one, it'll be live. That's why I usually grab the pop-out chat and just put it next to Zoom, so I don't have to have 2 devices.
Go full screen, pop-out chat. There we go.
Yeah, if you put that over there and then flash it over your Zoom, that way you can see the chat.
And I could probably stop the video from playing and just watch the chat.
Yeah, just pause it. That's what I do. I just pause the video on YouTube and don't even worry about it. Then we can just
I close the page. I close the page because Verizon they meter the stuff to the that I tether to the computer.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to say, you're the poem purist, and the word there. In there will be no paddle up. There will be no paddle up your creek. The word "will" is hidden under there.
Yeah, it's hidden. Well, you could look at it two. You could look at it 2 ways. You could look at when he uses the. I'm probably going to get this wrong. He used the apostrophe to shorten it up to there. You could either look at it as there shall or there will be no. You could look at it either. You could look at it either way. I mean, most people agree that it's probably there will be no paddle up your creek, but there shall be no paddle up your creek. It could. I think that they're very close, and it's been a while since I've really looked at that. But there is a slight difference between shall and will, I think, and maybe somebody could look it up really quick and correct us. But it could be either one of them. But yeah, I remember you talking about that. Like his title to the gold, his will. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first line of the poem is "As I've gone alone in there." So that's where there shows up down there, and it's hiding his will. He's got his will buried in there.
Could be. Well, I mean, his will. His will. Are you saying his will could possibly be in the treasure chest? Is that what you mean, like contained within the treasure?
Well, it's in the poem twice because it's in I think the last stanza or the next to the last. The will comes out. It's not hidden. It comes out in the end.
Like where he says title to the gold or
yeah.
And that so there's
your effort will be worth the cold.
Yeah. Well,
so there's the word will again.
Yeah.
And things that are repeated are important.
Yeah.
So the will's in there twice.
Right.
But and the beginning of the poem, it starts with as. The first stanza starts with as. Mm-hmm. The last stanza starts with so.
Yeah. And I think hasn't Jack, I think there's a gentleman by name of Jack that, over on and I haven't seen him in a while and on Chase Chat that did talk about that and also had a YouTube video out that's been out since like 2015 or 16 about his whole theory about the as so below.
As above. It's actually as above and so below. The last two stanzas.
It's so below. Yeah.
so. Yeah. It's so.
Well, it all depends. Again, if you look at the structure of the poem, and this could give maybe some credence to that theory. That if we look at the tense natures, again, if Forrest Fenn says I could have written the poem, or I could have hidden the treasure chest before, or I could have written the poem before I hid the treasure chest, but I didn't, which kind of says that there's potentially parts of the poem that are written afterwards. And if that first stanza, as I have gone is in past tense, and then so is sometimes used at the beginning of a sentence to be actually a conclusion. These are two things that could have been written after he had hid the treasure, right? So giving some credence to that as above, so below, not so, but as and so. I mean, there may be something there, possibly. Who knows? I don't throw anything out. I mean, anything is possible. Just me, as a poem purist, I try to focus more on the poem to try and remain as objective and keeping emotion and biases out of it as I
Yeah.
can. It's not.
Yeah.
It's. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, he has that the Egyptian figures. He has Thoth, Isis, Anubis. Thoth is one of the figures I found sculpted in the rock with a pair of legs and a man riding an ibis.
Yeah.
When the Egyptian Thoth is Thoth with the it's a man with an ibis head, but this Thoth that came from here is the Atlantean Thoth that went to Egypt. But anyhow, he's the first one to write in any form as above and so below.
Really?
That's where it came. He's where it came from.
Yeah. Well, I wish this guy Jack would come out and maybe do an updated video on this. But hey, I had a question. I don't know if you saw it that came from Alan K. And
Yeah.
Alan K was asking to you, Bill, how are you feeling about boots on the ground so far this season? Any progress? I mean, how have you gotten out?
Well, I went to a church in the woods last Sunday, and there's quite a bit. There was even an airstrip on the way, almost a mile long, grass on a farm, where he could, because remember he got shot down twice in Vietnam, and
Yep.
2 times he was flying and his engine went out, and he was lucky to find an airfield to land.
Well, don't you remember that one? What is that one story? I think it's in Too Far to Walk, or he's talked about this before. And I'm not up to speed on Too Far to Walk. I don't read it. I've read it once or twice, I think. But that story about him landing on the fairway out there in California, wherever it was. So this grass field that you're talking about in your area, that's, possible for him to land his aircraft on, right? I mean, he's done it before.
Right.
Well, maybe not the same Piper Malibu Mirage he had, because I think he said it was that Commander or whatever he had before. But
well, this airstrip, where is that book? my Too Far to Walk. Oh well, cover of Too Far to Walk.
Yep.
It's basically the explanation of the name of that airstrip.
That the airstrip is too far to walk, or
no. The picture on Too Far to Walk.
Well, is that the picture of him with his shadow, right? Cast over what's supposed to be the Madison, according to
So the airstrip has a shadowy name.
Oh. Only the Phantom knows, right?
and the owner of the airstrip is sitting in the moon.
Sitting in the moon. Are you talking about, you think is the bird?
The bird, that bird
That everybody thinks is a turtle dove. Did you ever watch our video? And I know it got messed up, where we had Jeremy Parnell on there, and he was really talking about, or we were talking about the illustrations and stuff. Do you remember? I believe you were watching that one. I remember seeing you in the chat room, I think, but we lost that video. But
it says in the poem, the end is in my drawings.
Really?
You follow the poem, and when you get to the wood, that's when you start following the drawings more.
Really?
Like the gypsies below the home of Brown, I went back and found them.
So
those are bananas I grabbed on the way back.
You found, and I'm assuming this, and maybe you can correct me. You found in a lot of your search, in your specific search area, you found a lot of what you believe to be like images in the rocks that really match up to the drawings in the Thrill of the Chase. Is that right?
Or there are images in the rock wall. Rock wall. I found rock wells on the rock wall.
Right.
The teacher waking him up at his school desk when he's dreaming of Captain Kidd. He suddenly startled out of his dream, right? That was the teacher waking him up.
So so
Captain Kidd.
What was was Skippy's car that you found? Was that in the same area that you're finding everything?
Yeah, it's all in the same area. It's Skippy's car was in the wood, in the D of the word wood. That somebody like lawn mowed the trees and wrote the word wood in the forest.
So let me can I, if I can, I know we talked about on your show, maybe talking a little bit about your solve and stuff, and share what you feel comfortable sharing, but what brought you to the area you're in now, searching wise? What kind of led you to that geographic area? What
the line before the poem, right?
Okay.
It leads to the end of my rainbow,
which is one of my favorite lines outside of the poem.
And the treasure. So if you're looking, but my point was, if I'm going to find the end of his rainbow, I got to start at the beginning of his rainbow.
Sure, I like that.
And so I was actually looking for a rainbow trail near Poncha Springs. It's up near Salida. And when I searched for Rainbow Trail, Poncha Springs, it came up Pagosa Springs, Rainbow Hot Springs.
Right.
And Rainbow Hot Springs is a 4.5 mile hike.
Yeah.
That's too far to walk.
Way too far. According to Forrest.
Because that would he couldn't have walked 18 miles in a day.
No, I completely agree with you on that. And that's something I've debated with DeCall about, because DeCall, and I know you and DeCall are best buddies, wink, wink, but he, from where he parks his car to where he gets to his place that he thinks it is, it's 3 miles one way. And I'm always DeCall. I mean, do you really think that Forrest Fenn walked 12 miles, in one afternoon, carrying 20 pounds half of the way? And I just can't follow that line of thinking. If Forrest Fenn has said, he walked less than a few miles, and we're assuming that is in the total of all trips, then you've got to think that place of wherever he parked his car, which could be on a dirt road or could be in a parking spot, has to be less than a mile one way, right? I mean, what do you think?
I'm sure it's a roadside pullout.
Yeah, it could be. Absolutely.
It's a road. I'm pretty sure it's a roadside pullout. But where Warm Waters halts is still not. He didn't walk from there. He didn't walk from there, or the home of Brown, or from No Place for the Meat.
Yep. I agree.
I have a Red Rider book about No Place for the Meat, and there were murders and it's Red Rider. And you see that one artist, or the guy that wrote Red Rider, I can't pull his name out of my head, but he's got a museum and stuff in Pagosa Springs. He died recently, and so the museum's been closed and stuff. And there's a gypsy wagon out front.
There is. Yep, you're absolutely right. It's right there on the corner as you come up to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out there and get my metal detector under it.
But hey, I'm perfectly game. You said about meeting up there in Pagosa and having a beer. That would be fun. I'm completely open to that.
Yeah. I have a friend I house sat for last year, lives there.
What's the one bar you said your friends own there in Pagosa?
The break room.
The break room. Okay. I like Kips. I go to Kips usually if I'm through that area. I'll stop in there for lunch or something. I like Kips.
There was another bar that was closing down, and the break room was moving into.
Yeah,
it was a bigger place, but
okay. I don't think I've been to the break room, but
yeah, they let me bring my dog.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Colorado is very dog friendly. I mean, just about anywhere you go in Colorado. I mean. It's dog and Subaru friendly is what I call Durango.
Yeah. Well, I have a parrot too that helps me.
So let's get back to what led you to the area you're in now, which you're admitting is the Blanco area. That's in southern Colorado, right?
Cheap land. Well, it's 70, 80 miles from my search area, and really? It's 100 miles from my grandkids. So
that's good.
Right in between them.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there's the two of everything in the treasure.
Yeah. Double
eagles, two frogs, two. There could two where Warm Waters halt, because there's the other where Warm Waters halt is Pagosa Hot Springs.
Okay.
Of all the hot springs, It's the deepest one. It halts the furthest down.
Which
bottom.
hot spring is that? Sorry.
Pagosa Hot Springs.
Is Pagosa really that deep?
It's in the Guinness Book of World Records, 1,002 feet, and that's only because they ran out of line. You go down and buy some more string and put it on there. Put another 1,000 feet on.
My wife doesn't like going into the springs itself because she doesn't like the way we smell when we get out of it. I don't care. I love going in that. It's been a couple of years since we've been there. Yeah.
Smell the sunshine.
That's not necessarily sunshine.
The beginning of the search is opposite of the end of the search.
Right.
If you begin it in warm waters, you're going to end it in cold waters.
Well, that's one thing that I believe in, that the whole effort will be worth the cold, is what is the only thing in the Rocky Mountains that is cold year round?
Water.
Water. Exactly. No matter what water you find other than a hot spring itself. Now, if you think warm water's halt is a geothermal feature, and I can't disprove that, yeah. I personally don't believe that, but I can't disprove that it isn't a geothermal feature. Then where that halts is no longer warm or hot waters. It's changing into something else. So I think that's where our effort will be worth the cold. You're no longer in the geothermal spring or whatever you think warm water's halt is. Now you could be in waters that are no longer hot or warm.
Well, like the rainbow has two ends.
Yeah.
They're looking at the wrong end of where warm water halts. They're looking at the end in the river where the warm water runs into the river, So, but the other end of it is where it comes from out of the ground at the bottom. Everything has two ends.
Well, it's that's kind of like a lot of people's thoughts about the double omegas, right? That it's a beginning and an end, or two different locations. Just like you're saying, a rainbow. If we're supposed to find the end of his rainbow, like you've said very, very well, then we ought to be finding the beginning of his rainbow, right? You've got to begin.
Yeah,
you've got to begin and an end.
Yeah, that's how I got to Rainbow Hot Springs.
Yeah. I like it.
Because it's the beginning. It's only where you start. So, but you leave that behind, heading. You don't look back. You're heading. Everything is progressively further down the road. Yeah.
A lot of people look at the 9 clues and they think that they're 9 separate waypoints.
Part of Too Far to Walk is, and when you take it in the canyon down, not far, but Too Far to Walk, and to the Tari Road, and you take a Tari scant down that road. You take a left on the Tari Road.
So that's what you interpret Tari scant to mean, is like it's a road.
Yeah. Well, you're if you're coming down the canyon from the parking lot to go to Rainbow Hot Springs, it's a dirt road.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about, so you've gotten your starting area, and then kind of like Forrest Fenn has said, rocking chair ideas can lead one to the first few clues, but a physical presence is needed to complete the solve. So if you're thinking the remaining 6 clues may only be solved while you're there, if you're saying that your area is around the Rainbow Hot Springs area, then you're kind of interpreting things while you're on the ground there, trying to then understand a little bit more.
The start area. The end area, we're going from the oceans are opposite. The warm water is on the east, the eastern watershed, and the cold water is the western watershed. Yeah, but and like some people say, the continental divide's involved. Yeah, it is, because and the treasure is below 10.2. It doesn't mean that the poem doesn't go over that.
Right.
To get there.
Yeah. Now I got a question here coming from somebody named All Pain No Gain, and they said, Sean or Bill, is there a possibility that after Forrest did the not far but too far to walk part, do you think he walked for miles to hide the chest? How are we not following the poem precisely? So maybe I'm not completely understanding his question, but I guess he's saying if
it's a drive. It's a drive, and to me, and you stop at every pullout.
Okay.
and marvel gaze at the. If you stare at the rocks, you're going to see what's there.
Yeah. Well,
That's why you marvel gaze.
I
I
look.
watched a story on archaeology, and they were talking about gazing at the marvels.
Yeah.
You know, the pyramids are marvels.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
and you stand there and just go, oh, you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly. You're standing back in awe, and that is what
yeah,
to marvel. Something is a marvel, like the national or the what is it? The now I'm fumbling with what I'm trying to say here. The what do they call them? The nine wonders of the world, or the eight
yeah,
wonders
yeah,
of the world. They're part of that, right?
yeah,
So you're standing back and you're marveling at them. You can't look at one specific point on the pyramid because it's a very large thing, right? You're looking at the whole thing. You can
yeah.
see it, but you're not looking at a very precise point. And I think that's maybe something that it's key about the blaze too. The blaze could be something that you marvel at. It's with a marvelous gaze, because gaze is somewhat different than to look. To look is in a specific direction, and gaze is more about laying your eyes upon something, like
Yeah.
a natural wonder, like the pyramids, like you're saying, yeah, or
Uh-huh.
the Golden Gate Bridge, from my home state of California, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm from Fremont.
You're from Fremont, California?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah. Um,
But I think to answer a little bit of no pain gains, all pain, no gain, I think like Bill kind of said, it's along the drive maybe that you're from that position of whatever you think Warm Waters Halt is or whatever, from there to the put in. He's not telling you to walk or anything that distance. I think that put in below the home of Brown is very close potentially to where he parked his car, if not the place where he parked his car, right? Is that not possible? And then because he's saying begin it where Warm Waters Halt, and then he says from there it's no place for the meek. So to say from there is meaning that you're already at that point. Could
well,
that point be our starting point?
the home of Brown, when it relates to when he mentions that anybody only deserves 2.086 acres of public land.
Yeah.
That's your share. That's all anybody deserves. Well, for David Jennings Brown had 3,500 acres of the most pristine national forest. Right there, right there, Treasure Falls. That's his valley.
Yeah.
That was his valley. He died in 2013, and at his auction for his estate, he had $1.3 million in bronze. If you live in Pagosa Springs, where do you go buy your bronze?
It would have to be from him, I guess.
He probably he bought it from Forrest.
Yeah.
I think he even has a landing strip on the property.
Oh, wow.
You can buy a it was a 35-acre lot for $5 million.
That's all?
Yeah.
That's chump change.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah,
5
acres. Can afford that.
Yeah.
5 acres. Holy cow. You could buy 5 acres here in Farmington for a heck of a lot less than that. But
I got 5 acres for 4,000.
Hey, we got another question here from Alan K. And Alan says to you and I both, he says, you are both veterans of the chase. If Forrest Fenn is stepping, I'm assuming he means away, why do you think he continued to interact, write scriptbooks, and share other comments to rile us up?
I don't know. Sometimes we don't know if Forrest is writing all the scrapbooks or if Dale's writing some of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what makes us think he's really stepping away? I mean, he just mentioned in February 4th that, this will be the last 6 questions with Jenny Kyle. May make you think he's stepping away, but he's definitely slowed down a little bit. I mean, we haven't seen any major interviews or anything like that, but he's still we've had a couple of scrapbooks since then. He still communicates with some other searchers out there, we know. So it's hard to say if he's really stepping away. I mean, I think, what did he say? One key thing I took out of that January video we got last year about him telling us to simplify is he says, I think I'm running out of words.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Because he might use a word, and I'll pick up exactly what he's talking about.
Well, yeah, but what about when he said everybody's stomping on the ants while the elephants march by? I mean, that had to perk your ears up, didn't it, Bill? Here we go. I mean, as soon as I heard that on the Playboy interview, I said, "Oh man, Bill's going to go nuts over that one."
That's not the first elephant comment he made, though. He had said before, I think in one of the stories, that it was about one of the generals or something he was talking to, and he said, I suddenly felt like a crippled ant in an elephant parade.
I don't remember that quote, but that sounds like something you would say.
Yeah. If you search Terry Scamp for elephant, you know, all elephant comments come up. So
that'll come up.
You see him.
Yeah. But I remember hearing that one on the Playboy interview, and I think when I did my that Hot Topics one on the May the 4th, I said, man, that's really had to have Bill's ears perked up. I mean, geez.
This was out before the Playboy interview happened.
Well, before the Playboy interview.
I was the elephant before the Playboy interview.
Yeah.
So, actually, we won't go there. My ex-wife would I've been referred to as an elephant before.
Okay, we won't go into that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, I saw a couple other people jump in here and just wanted to say hi. Sean Malloy's in here. Milan Fenner, how are you? Give Me Truth, that's a different one I have never seen. Delgado Man, that's a different one. There was somebody else that jumped in here. Frederick Johnson, how are you?
Where's Man in Jail?
Man in Jail. We got Man in the Barn, Man in the Park. I'm sometimes called Man in the Bar.
Man on the toilet.
Jumped in here I wanted to say hi to, and I lost him. Gosh darn it. Who was that? I thought they had a question too. Somebody. No, I lost him. RC. RC is in here. RC, how are you? I know it's late for most of you guys, but that's cool. This is the Up Late at Night, Got Finn on the Brain show. So what so for you, where do you derive most your information that has led you to your solve? Is it the poem? Is it a combination of the poem and the book? Or what do you think is the most valuable thing to your solve and your way of thinking?
It's the thing about in archaeology, and if you've seen the thing where he was Suzanne Summers, and he's talking about the shape of the stone, he can tell what's happened to it by the shape of the stone and stuff. But what people don't notice is in the background, there's some rocks arranged along the trail that are shaped alpha, omega, omega.
Really?
Yeah, there's white stones in the ground just beyond them.
And that was in the Suzanne Somers video?
Yeah, this where he was at San Lazaro or something.
Does Lucky Love have that one, or is that one that Lucky Love had, or who was that one?
It's just one with, I know Suzanne Summers is in it.
And Alan K is asking, where's Jack? Is Jack there with you?
He's up on the dash sleeping.
Smart dog.
Yeah. I lost my thought.
Oh no, sorry. We were talking about you were talking about the Suzanne Somers video and about all the alpha omegas and the white stone and everything that you were seeing.
Yeah. And he has another story he was saying about going down the Bighorn River and seeing the murals that the Indians had left and reading their stories on the canyon wall.
So a lot of that.
It's quite a bit like that. Except the Bighorn Canyon's been filled with water since then.
So Milan Finner is saying a new scrapbook just got posted, 202. I don't know if he's joking with us or not. Maybe he's not. I hadn't seen it today. But so Do you see a lot of those things in those videos and in Too Far to Walk that you were just mentioning? Do you see those things as, do you see them as coincidences, or do you see those things as confirmations, or even things that give you confidence in yourself? What do you think?
Well, I've got the Buffalo Cowboys car.
Yep.
The helicopter contraption of Skippy's was a tow truck gearbox
Right.
and panels strewn around it, green, and it's triangular like the frogs. And then there's a ZPU gun along the
One of
creek.
my favorite. Yeah, I like that one.
And so I found that, and then I found the Biddy's boy and the Thoth. He has. Why has he got Thoth? Why did he have to have a Thoth from Egypt? Because he found one out here in the wild. And Leo Salazar showed him where Moses was. And he said on Jenny Kyle's blog, success is an omnipotent guru.
Yep.
And in where once upon a while, he called Leo Salazar some kind of omnipotent religious guru. Because he said that's where Moses received the 10 Commandments. Now, carving a statue of Moses is not a place. So when he says that's where, he's telling him where the model for Moses was. He showed him where Moses was on the canyon, halfway up the canyon wall, where his plane smacked the wall and exploded, basically, halfway up the 1,000-foot canyon wall.
Well, so let me stop you really quick.
There.
Let me stop you really
right
quick.
In between two giant mammoths.
Milan Finner is right. There is Scrapbook 202 that literally just came out. Do you want to read it with me?
Okay, you can. Yeah, you can.
Let me share my screen, and we'll talk about this really quick, and
all right,
and get everybody's opinion. Let me see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move the chat over here so I can read it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read this for you guys that maybe can't see it, or I'm sure everybody's probably got it pulled up right now and ignoring us. But this is June 2019. It says Gaddy was one of the first searchers. As a reporter for NBC News in Albuquerque, he made a documentary about the treasure that won him an Emmy and a promotion to correspond for NBC News in LA.
And almost killed himself.
Yeah, you know about Gaddy. I know who he's talking about too. I think he searched with Dale Neitzel. And Dale talked about him on the show when he was on with us not too long ago. So I think everybody's somewhat familiar with Gaddy Schwartz. And then he goes on. He says he remembered in my book, The Thrill of the Chase, that Donnie and I took 2 Babe Ruth candy bars on our horseback quest up Red Canyon while looking for Lewis and Clark. So Gaddy decided to search the canyon himself. And for luck, he ate 2 Babe Ruth candy bars and nailed the wrappers to a Red Canyon sign that had been placed by the National Forest Service to mark the trailhead. Well, not much later, Dale, while searching Red Canyon, saw the 2 wrappers on the ground under the sign and placed them in the trash can. Dale should have given me the paper souvenirs so I could picture them in this scrapbook. Maybe they could bring other searchers good luck. It is needed. It is indeed a small world. And he goes on here. Gaddy came to see me this week, on his way to Yellowstone on assignment about grizzly bears tearing up garbage cans. He told me the story about how he proposed to his girlfriend. It was on a deserted island and included a treasure chest with a secret inside. It is right out of Treasure Island. You can't make this stuff up. Maybe Gaddy will write a scrapbook and tell that story. Here is an email received from him this morning. And he shares the email. And I'll read that. Howdy, Forrest. You'd be happy to know that there are legions of pterodactyl-sized mosquitoes out guarding your treasure. I finished my assignment a little early at the Grizzly Discovery Center, so I headed up to the fire hall and spent the afternoon exploring as many little slots as I could. I thought I hit the jackpot about a quarter mile down from the falls when I found this little crack. I crawled in, did some interior decorating, and checked the crevasses and cubbies until my work clothes were indistinguishable from a miner's. After a bit, I sat back in the dust and cleared my mind and tried to imagine you sitting in Mummy Joe's cave. Well, I like that. He's a pretty smart guy. He knows his stuff here. And he's got a little movie here. Maybe I'll play it in a sec. He says, when I came out, I spotted, well, let me play it right now. Let me see if I can get it for everybody. I don't know if we'll get the sound. Where did it go? Maybe it's not coming up. Oh, here it is. I got to download it apparently. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Ooh, spooky. Don't go in there, Gaddy. Okay, that was the video, I guess. I hope you guys saw that. And he says, when I came out, I spotted a couple armed with binoculars who seemed a little out of place. No fishing gear, not particularly interested in taking photos, and stopping at every pull-off to scan the cliffside. That was K-Pro and Calazar's.
No, he hasn't done boots on the ground. It wouldn't be him.
Okay. All told, I saw about 20 to 30 people that matched the description of treasure hunters around Yellowstone. I didn't stop and talk to any of them, though, because I wouldn't have been able to resist bragging about our lunch, which would have wasted precious time. And he goes on, Gaddy does. After a graceful and wet mini tumble into an eddy, I headed upriver and put some eyes on that old grizzly cave. There are still bones from some sort of elk or deer bleached away in its opening. My log bridge I crossed last time was washed a little downstream, and I decided not to press my luck again. I headed just past the falls, pull out, and checked on a couple more spots. One place I really love is this little ledge right above where the falls goes over the edge. It's hidden from view, but almost nearly impossible to get to. One of those rocks gave me a gnarly little cut on my city hand, and I can't wait to get home and fuss over. On my way back, I spotted a big nest that had been destroyed by some kind of marmot. I finally decided to call it a day and headed back to my car. As I got in, I heard a noise in some brush beside me. I turned to see a 400-pound grizzly lumbering toward me. Ugh. I let out some sort of girlish yelp that eventually conveyed I would taste very sour. So he went around and headed down toward the river where I had just been looking. It's pretty funny. So he's got this bear movie. I'll play this one here, see if I can get it. Hold on.
Does he pee himself?
Oh, there's the bear. I guess that's all it was.
According to Cynthia, if you pee yourself, the bear won't chase you.
Well, she didn't pee herself. She sprayed herself is what she did. He goes on. He said, hope he has better luck in the search than I did. I finished the day pretty proud that I had survived and decided to celebrate by buying a steak and frying pan from the grocery store next to the dude. There he is, a picture of him at the dude. Cool. In there. I found a nice spot overlooking Hebgen Lake to cook a romantic dinner for me and my 7 million thirsty insects. I forgot seasoning, a knife, and a can opener for my side of chili, so my meal was small and overcooked. The mosquitoes ate me medium rare. Sending you pictures and videos. Also, I love your new book, Once Upon a While. Took a long pull of Worcestershire sauce to clear my head. While trying to avoid those who distract me from my, he's just quoting some of the things he took out of there. While trying to avoid those who distract me from my self-esteem, I'm always reminded of the heroic performances I committed on the football fields of my youth. Feared they'd turn their vocabulary loose on me. The candles die of old age. He's just quoting some things from the book. I mostly listen, not wanting to interrupt him with the weakness of my thoughts. My favorite chapter, the bridge jump. My least favorite was the foreword by Douglas. I was terrified he gave too much away, but that was before I headed back out to explore and was once again reassured by Yellowstone himself at how insanely large the woods are and how enigmatic the blaze remains. Here's to hoping the treasure is never found, Gaddy. That's a really cool email and response from Gaddy, a guy who is not only a journalist, but a searcher himself. I really like that.
Well, a journalist I'd like to see covering Forrest Fenn is Amelia Earhart, KUSA in Denver.
Her name is really Amelia Earhart?
Yeah, and she flew around the world to complete what the first Amelia couldn't do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in 2013 she flew around the world, so she's a pilot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stop sharing, but there was something I wanted to read off this back that kind of stood out to me. Do you got yours up too? Do you got it up
No,
or?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have
One,
the chat up. What?
well, something that stood out to me that he said in this, and again, guys, this is very subjective. You know, I'm the poem purist. I still like looking at these things and going down these rabbit holes with you guys. But here's the one thing that just stood out to me. He said in here, Gaddy came to see me this week on his way to Yellowstone on assignment about grizzly bears tearing up garbage cans. He told me the story about how he proposed to his girlfriend. It was on a deserted island and includes a treasure chest with a secret inside. It's right out of Treasure Island. You can't make this stuff up. I like that he puts Treasure Island in there because it reminds me of when Jenny Kyle asked him if he ever read about stories or whatever about pirates and or hidden treasure, and he said, you know, I only read about stories that were hidden by or treasures that were hidden by pirates, and I wish I could have found one of those. And I had talked about in one of my videos about how, you know, what stories could he be talking about pirates? Because, you know, I'm a child of the 80s. You know, I mean, I was born in 1970, but, you know, I remember Indiana Jones, you know, the Goonies, or even, you know, what is it? Now the most
Long John Silver.
Well, no. I'm talking, those are things that Forrest probably read about, you know, Treasure Island and, you know, the gold bug and other stuff that were, you know, hidden by pirates. So I just find that interesting that he mentions Treasure Island in there, because that's probably one of the books that he kind of read. I thought it was interesting.
Well, all those things, I take the part where he saw his father was trying to find a substitute and the bell was ringing at the end of the hallway, you know. That's and where I found the teacher, there's a bell. Just if you called it a hallway where you go to get up to where the teacher is, it's a hallway kind of coming down this little notch in the hill to get down where the bell is. Yeah, and it's a hand holding the bell. No, never mind. But those when he says where he says the word "find" in the book, that's important. What he's trying to find a good-looking rock. Yep. He says it twice in the book. He's trying to find a good crystal rock.
Or I think it's in The Long Ride Home? He shows that picture of Skippy holding a rock, you know, like he says in there. Skippy, and isn't that on the fire hole?
That rock looks like an elephant.
Yeah. Okay. There's other people that think it looks like a whale.
Down where his hands on it is a trunk coming down and curling under.
Yeah.
But he says, find a good-looking rock. My father was trying to find a substitute. A substitute is subtle. So if you substitute Yellowstone caldera for the La Garita caldera and all the hot springs down here, you know, it was a volcano 10 times bigger than the Yellowstone volcano.
Sure.
But it's been extinct for 75 million years.
Are you talking about what about the Jemez Mountains? Are you talking about that too, or?
There was a lot of volcanoes around here. Yeah, they stretch out on the way to Texas too. Yeah, I've seen them.
So let's talk about some current events. What do we got? We got this marathon tomorrow. What do you think about that?
You don't want to know what I think about that?
Sure, I do. I just asked you.
Well, yeah, I was told I'd be on the last marathon and watched the whole thing and wasn't invited. It wasn't invited in, you know.
Have you emailed Mike or K-Pro to ask him?
Yeah, and he said we'll put you on the first spot in the next one, and that's not happening. So, you know, see, she's got her crowd that she brought from her blog and stuff. There's some people that the people in the blogs are important and famous, and it's who you know and who you're not familiar with. People, it takes a while, you know.
Right.
So,
are you going to watch it at all, or?
I don't think so. I think I'll go searching.
Hey, right? What did Forrest Fenn say? Stop armchairing that thing to death and get out there in the trees where the box is. That's exactly what you're doing, Bill. I mean, you're not armchairing this thing.
I can get out of here early enough in the day.
Yeah. What do you?
and the weather. You know the San Juans are like a rainforest.
Yeah.
And
Well, don't they?
and it's,
Isn't there a part of them? It's called the Wet Mountains.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's
Pretty close to where you're at. I think it's on the
yeah,
other side of San Diego Cristos.
you know, Wolf Creek and all that. I been up there in, you know, downpours, and you can't go searching right afterwards because you're gonna get wet from walking through the bushes.
So okay, you're in a good area to ask this question. How's the San Luis Valley look this year compared to last year?
It's wetter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
how are the rivers running? I mean, what's the rivers look like? I mean, here in Farmington, we've got the San Juan, which is just
Well, the
way higher than it was last year.
Rio Grande near Del Norte was flooding some of the fields and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I had that bullfight video. I started a video to I was going to film driving across where the river has flooded the road going to the bridge.
Do that.
Well, I did do it. It was only, you know,
okay.
It wasn't very deep.
Well, you're not some deep river.
And so I was heading toward. I started the camera at the corner, and then I turned the corner and was heading for where the water was. And there's a two bulls with their heads up against each other in a giant, you know, in a flooded part of the Rio Grande there. Yeah. You know, having a bullfight. So
don't go mess with them.
Oh, poo.
So Minotaur Marino just jumped in here, and then William was saying something, I guess, asking the two of us, you know, is there a lot of heavy erosion on the creeks and rivers?
Not really. Actually, there are rocks sculpted in the creek that were sculpted 14,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I found one that's perfect anatomy of a mammoth. And I put it's got the ear and the eye and the ripples. And
Hey, have you? I know are you over on Treasure Tracer, right? As Toth I think is your handle. What is your handle over on Treasure Tracer?
The Atlantean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to create a room over there? Is Jack going to let you create a room over there?
I don't know if I can. Yeah, this is Thoth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the guy that there's an ibis. It's a giant ibis, 20 feet tall, maybe. And there's a man laying on, or, you know, he's riding on the back of the ibis, laying on top of it, was grabbing onto the scuff of the neck of the ibis and flying through the forest.
So yeah, I was going to say, if you were willing to do it, if Jack can get you a room in there, I think it'd be good for you to put some of your pictures and stuff that you see in there. Is that way? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to create your own forum. He's kind of helping you do that.
Like, look at this. These are the feet. That's an arm. That's an arm. That's a head.
Yeah. So you're seeing like a
that's a man hugging an elephant. So just like I find out in the.
You're seeing in the layout of that picture, what you're seeing is like the way the coins and the frog is laid out. You're seeing like a man in there.
The gold and the nuggets and the frog.
You're seeing like his head here, arms and legs coming down is what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
his arms are stretched out.
I think I've heard people talk about something similar to that. You know, when I look at that, and this is just, you know, my imagination or whatever, I look at that and I go, okay, on page 132, we've got the poem. And then on page 133, we have pieces of the treasure and a map. And it almost kind of is kind of symbolic to the poem is a treasure map. You know, you've got treasure that we know is out of the treasure chest. And then we have a map of what we all agree is New Mexico, an older map of New Mexico. But it's kind of interesting. I look at that and it's kind of, you know, it's kind of symbolizing two different things. You know, it's semantics in a way where you have the what is it? The signifier and the signified. And I always get those two mixed up. One is the words, and the other thing is what those words signify, like in your mind's eye, what you see. And to me, it's like you've got the words, which are the poem, you know, and then over here you've got the treasure map, so to speak. It's almost kind of like symbolizing that the poem is a treasure map.
But he says the poem is a map.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, in the poem,
A map to the treasure, right?
The end is ever drawing nigh. The end is ever drawing nigh. I think he's really saying the end is in my drawings. And
could be. I mean, there's so many different. That's what makes this thing so fun. Is there's just so many different ways to interpret this. You know, and no idea is right or wrong until somebody is right, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Toby wanted me to, or said, you know, if you think you're the lead searcher.
Oh, no, what did he say tonight?
But then you need to either find the treasure by the end of this year, or quit calling yourself a lead searcher, basically. You know.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Okay. You know, when he said that tonight to me, I was thinking, okay, I'm going back to my question that I had of Forrest last year, which was, hey, Forrest, back in 2014, you had responded by, you know, in scrapbook 78 or something, I think it was, by saying, hey, I never said anybody had been within 12 feet of the treasure. It's highly unlikely that anyone would get that close and not find it. So I emailed Forrest and I said, hey, Forrest, you know, it's 2018 now, 4 years since you made that. Do you want to give us an update on that? Do you still feel the same way? And then he responded by saying, you know, I better not answer that question, Sean. Sorry. So to me, I'm thinking, you know, he doesn't respond to every email I send him, and nor does he respond to every email probably you send him or everybody else sends him. So why did he respond to that? And the way he answered that makes me believe I mean, this is just the way my mind works. It doesn't make it right. Is it possible that he has pictures or knows, because people told him exactly where they were, that they theoretically could have been that close and they didn't see it? So he's like, I can't answer that question because somebody maybe has been that close and they were blind, like this guy Fred, and didn't see it.
They're blind and they couldn't see the shapes in the rocks.
Yeah. And that answers Toby's question. I mean, if there is a lead searcher, why hasn't they found it? Well, maybe they have been that close, and because some weeds blew in there and maybe covered it up, this person isn't thinking it's buried, or it's very difficult to find now because it's been nearly 10 years that he hid this thing. So, man, how do we know? I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to beat Toby up or anybody up. I'm just asking the question, you know, is it really that much harder now because Mother Nature has done the job that maybe even Forrest Fenn anticipated, that it could be well more? Because we agree on one thing, Bill. We know the treasure chest is out there. Well, we don't know. We believe we believe in the man.
I haven't seen any major geologic changes in my end zone area. Right. That hasn't. I don't know if the road's open yet to where I go camping, where I want to have a party. but yeah. And if you watch any of those, who those it was the Southern Knights of whatever, who had all these treasures hidden. And if before Forrest Fenn's treasure, I was watching videos on that. Yeah. And they're all going by symbols and signs, you know. Signs are on the trees or on the rocks and stuff. A lot of, you know, people who've been treasure hunters a long time go by symbology. I got a bunch of friends down in Mexico that just love all my pictures of the the rocks and the formations, and they're telling me where to look for treasure in them. And you know,
did you do you pay attention much to Man Alone? You ever watch any of his videos or pay attention to stuff he's posting over on Treasure Tracer?
He's all right. You know, I don't have any problems with him.
Well, no, why I'm bringing that up is because he's been going on about, and he's big into treasure hunting, outside of this Fenn thing, which is great. I think this Treasure Tracer is a perfect place for him, and he's gonna.
Well, he's within 300 miles of Toledo,
right? But he brings up a good point, is that Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt is not a traditional treasure hunt, and I question him. I'm like, Well, I mean, how do we know what a traditional treasure hunt is? There's nothing you can look up in any book or dictionary or anything and say, okay, here's the traditional treasure hunt and here's the rules of a traditional treasure hunt. And we kind of went back and forth on that. But he brings up, and you're kind of, I think, hinting at it a little bit too, is that not every treasure hunt out there has directions to find this. You know, it's not like a treasure map where you've got this, you know, like in the movie The Goonies, where it's telling you start here and here's an X on the map where you got to go kind of thing. This is just a poem. And in most treasure hunts that people are out there looking for lost treasure that's a legend that has just been lost. This is, we know, or we have to believe that Forrest Fenn and have faith that he did hide this thing out there and gave us 9 clues in the form of a poem to go find this thing. So it is somewhat of a different animal, you know, and it may be an elephant, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I just got lost. My mind.
I know, I rambled on there. Sorry.
Because I read Minotaur's question.
Yeah, well, go for it. He says, big fan of Bill Gorman. Ask him about the shape of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. So, yeah, go ahead and answer that. Go for it.
Yeah, there's that. It's real close here to the. That's this is the architecture of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. This is the IMAX. These are the awnings in front of the IMAX. The black line, the lines around here are the outline of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. It's the same outline, and he calls the architect.
You know what I find interesting about that fold out is Skippy's not in there. Everybody else in the family is in there, but how come he's not in it?
Well, one thing Susie had brought up was the vowels are bigger than the first vowel of each, and their I is missing. So if you had Skippy, I would be in there. So it's missing the I. A-E-I-O-U. I-O-U.
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 He has an I-O-U in there, right? Isn't that what we
I
all
is
think?
missing.
What's interesting, I'll have to go back and look at the layout of the Denver Museum. I never made any kind of connection to that, of course. I mean, you wouldn't expect me to do that, but
and the little knots for the Yellowstone 1942. That's the awning in front of the eye.
Huh.
So this would be the Colorado Boulevard.
So I wonder if one thing I never thought about this too, it shows the picture as if it's in like another actual scrapbook or something. I wonder if this is just something that, you know, the artists, you know, took liberties in doing, kind of like with the
wrote the names on there,
the timestamps and stuff. Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know, or I mean, that's nothing I ever asked Fenn. Or maybe somebody has. I don't know.
Oh.
But interesting. I know there's been talks about the rip in the page before. People have talked about that.
Yeah, maybe it is out of his own scrapbook, and
yeah, it could be.
They just
that.
took it.
What did Tony DeCopel talk about, the ramblings and rumblings or something that he had talked about that Forrest Fenn gave him copies of?
Architects use all caps. Architects use all caps. Right. I had architecture and drafting, and use all caps in architecture.
Yep. Minotaur Marino says legit. Minotaur, you talking about the outline of the museum? That's interesting. Shape is the building. Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. That's cool. Some time and Holly says Skippy is taking the pictures. Maybe he's the only way. Maybe he was camera shy.
That's one thing. The picture of Skippy with the rock. I was at Yellowstone in 2007, and I took a picture for the same angle, and so I knew exactly where that was.
I remember seeing that.
The Upper Falls, Yellowstone Falls. Yep. It's at the brink of the falls.
And wasn't it Eric of It Is What It Is Productions? Didn't he recently do a video where he said did I just find the blaze? And he had a picture, or he was there at this rock in that bottom left-hand corner that he thinks is the same.
Oh yeah, that's the other rock where his father was on the Madison.
Yeah. I'm sure
it was on private property too, or something.
I think a bunch of people probably found that one, but it's kind of cool. I mean, it's interesting.
Well, one thing, Yellowstone, there's been thousands of people going over the same spot over and over. Where I'm searching, there's nobody else one other, I know another person that's come and searched in my area, and he said, "Man, it's yours. I'm not. I give up
You're
because
all thank you.
it's that it's a lot bigger when you get there than it is on Google Earth."
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that unless you've gotten out there, boots on the ground, and in your location. Then it's a rude awakening for those people that have never been out there looking.
He was being facetious when he told, "Oh, well, if I told you where Brown was, you'd go straight to it."
Right.
That he was just he wasn't being serious when he said that.
This Mike Money guys, I think, is asking, have you searched Browns Canyon?
Yeah, I've searched up in Browns Canyon 2014, 15, and part of 16. Then I came down to Rainbow.
Right.
And to Rainbow Hot Springs.
Right.
I still got to walk up there sometimes. That's a long way to walk. I'd have to go up there and hike up there one day and hike back the next day,
Yeah. up to Browns, or you're talking about
Rainbow Hot Springs.
Rainbow Hot Springs.
Yeah.
And where exactly is Rainbow Hot Springs? Is that north of you, or where's that at?
That's directly north of Treasure Falls.
Oh, okay. So it's still is up near Wolf Creek then?
Before Treasure Falls, you turn left and go up the canyon to the north.
So you're going past the Bruce.
Past there, back in there as far as you can to where the trail for the.
And I think I know which one you're talking about. My wife and I have gone up to the Bruce a few times in the past and stayed in the cabins and stuff there. And they always talk about
Gypsy.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're at the gate to Bootjack Ranch and you look across the highway to the south and up on the canyon wall are the gypsies up there, and you see them best at sunset.
Right.
That's why he says bring a flashlight, because you put the flashlight, you can put it up to the rocks and you can see the shapes in the rocks easier with a flashlight at night. That's why he says go at night. It's kind of spooky. You want to bring his Quanah Parker and bring a flashlight at night.
Right. So what other current events we got going on you want to talk about? Anything else? Well, you got that we know we got the function, the junction. I know neither one of us are going to that. That's too far for me.
Yeah, it's too far.
Yeah.
I'm going to Fennsomnia and
Fennsomnia. I'm going to be. I know what I'm bringing
for the potluck.
I'll be up in Wyoming for Frontier Days and stuff during Fennsomnia. We're going up there to see family and everything else. So
I'm probably only going down one day because before they tell you the date, all the RV spaces are reserved.
Yeah.
And the closest I've been able to camp with my RV was Taos Junction.
Really?
And really, that's just a 40-minute drive from here, And so I might as well just drive from where I'm going to be camped at that time, because I'm about done with my winters here on my land, and I go over to the treasure hunting area.
Yeah, this is prime time for you. I mean, how often are you getting out during the week?
A couple of. I've been running back and forth to dang dentist.
Right.
240 miles each trip,
Oh, geez. One way, or is that both ways?
Oh, Pueblo.
Oh, in Pueblo. So about 120 miles for you then.
Yeah, I went through a senior program.
So you just take your little car. You don't take the whole RV. You just take.
No, I drive my 40-mile-to-a-gallon car.
No more eating double Texas Whoppers while you're driving. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that video. I'm like, oh God, Bill's gonna get in an accident trying to drive this.
Oh, no, it's a lot harder to eat now that I got these dang. It's pain in the butt, but I got all my teeth now.
Good, right on. Well, hey, we're getting really close to what my cutoff time was going to be, because I need to get some rest tonight. So, what do you got there? Double Blazes University. Yes, I got your diploma from the Double Blazes University as well. That was fun stuff.
And see, it says burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah,
that's a key to the more than one blaze. The blaze is a special blaze.
Well, it's if he's saying burning the candle at both ends, like he talks about in the epilogue with his father. His father said, you know, he had said that kind of is reminiscent of the double omegas and your thoughts about, you know, if there's an end of a rainbow we're trying to find, then there should be a beginning of the rainbow. That's kind of symbolic to that, isn't it?
I was looking for the beginning of the rainbow when I stumbled on and actually I had camped at a blaze. There are several blazes,
right?
And I could show you if I give you a personal tour, boots on the ground personal tour of it. I could show you.
If there's several
I can tell you more than I will online.
If there's several blazes, which one stands out as the blaze, though?
Well, Braving in the Wood would be the Ford, the car, the Buffalo Cowboys car.
Okay.
Because it was worth the cold. They did that with the car and the Buffalo, and I didn't realize, and they had to walk home wet,
barefooted, yeah.
And didn't realize how much fun it was until later.
Right.
You know,
it
was worth it. It was worth the cold to ride with that Buffalo. That's why I got so excited when I found that Buffalo Cowboys car out in the meadow, and I used my metal detector for a steering wheel and went riding the skip.
I remember that. I remember that one.
But yeah, I first saw it and said, "What the hell is that? Looks like a gas can." And it turned. I thought it was the back of a. I didn't know what part. And I finally realized it's a cowl. It's a cowling, and cowling doesn't recognize it. I don't think he knows what a cowling is.
That's in his family, I guess. Well, hey, Bill, it's been fun. It's kind of late here. I've got to be up at 6, so I need to get some rest. But been fun,
that's
buddy.
A rusty red Ford.
That's a rusty red Ford.
Red Ford.
Oh, red Ford. Oh, I got it. Like Redford. Got it.
Yeah. It's playing with
connections. I see your connections.
I use the 6 degrees of separation. You know.
Yeah. That could be what he's doing.
You know, how many bronze dealers within, you know, what are six bronze dealers? What's the 6 closest bronze dealers to the Red Rider guy? You know, I'm sure he's one of the 6 closest bronze dealers.
Yeah, and that's who. I mean, and again, like I said, there's no wrong, you know, solves. There's no wrong. No one's right. No one's wrong. I mean, the only person that knows who the lead searcher is Forrest Fenn, if there is in fact a lead searcher. I mean, we don't know. We assume there is.
His stories are out there on the canyon walls and later out in the forest. And each of his stories are treasures. And he says, "My trove for all to seek." The trove is the art.
Right. Could be.
It's an art trove.
Yep.
Ancient art.
I mean, it absolutely could be. It's all, even the words in the poem, even for a poem purist, they're still words. They're still subject to our interpretations, right? They're completely, you see it as that, somebody else may see it as completely different. But to say that one person's interpretation of that is wrong, again, it's like I coin it all the time. You know, my confirmation bias will kick your confirmation bias's ass. They're both confirmation bias. We have no proof, physical evidence, because I think that physical evidence is only recovery of the treasure chest. And then if that person finds it, whether that be you, whether that be me or somebody else, who is anybody to question Bill Gorman and say, well, you were wrong because the blaze was this. And he's like, well, buddy, I got the bracelet, you know, I've got the treasure chest. What do you, I can say whatever I want, you know?
When he talks about the you know, maybe a little imagination and maybe a 6-pack to help celebrate the thrill of a breathtaking discovery. Well, the discovery is bigger than the treasure, because the reason Thoth and Anubis and these Egyptian figures are up there is because these are remnants from Atlantis.
Well, doesn't he?
That's the big picture.
Yeah, and
The big
and
picture.
could be
What would
that.
Indiana Jones want to find Atlantis?
But could that also be, that being the thing that opens up Pandora's box?
Yeah, it is.
Could that be the secret that he's holding? Is what you're saying?
Sure. I went all the way in the rabbit hole. It's Pandora's box, certainly.
I mean, we don't know what's going to open Pandora's box. Is it that secret information? I like to think that the mechanism that Forrest Fenn created, to know whether this treasure chest is found, kind of like Douglas Preston hints at in the intro or the foreword to Once Upon a While, was he admits to that Forrest Fenn found a better way to know when the treasure chest is found. And he didn't share that secret with Douglas. Of course, two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. So could that, whatever that secret, the knowledge, I think, that's contained within that, that sealed olive jar, could be the mechanism by which he would know, if he's obviously still alive. Now, he still believes, he's a spiritual person, that even when, he passes, that he'll still know, that it's found. It could be that secret that person reveals if they choose to, if there is really a secret in there. I don't know. It's just
Sausage says he has a ledger, and every piece he has a number on it and a line in that ledger with who that piece goes to when he dies.
Well, I can attest that he does have stickers with weird numbers and stuff on a lot of stuff that's in his home that I've seen. I don't know if there's, some physical ledger. That's not something Forrest Fenn told me.
He's looking for another Indiana Jones type like himself, like the Codex, the Preston's book, the Codex. The guy died and he had all his treasures hidden from his heirs, and they had to solve the puzzle to find it.
Yeah. To get all his inheritance. He wanted them to earn it. And isn't that kind of what Forrest Fenn is doing? He's wanting somebody to earn that, whether that's somebody that's a literal person like me as a poem purist, or if it's somebody that's more imaginative like you, Bill. We don't know. Somebody's going to find this thing and earn it, whether that be this weekend or 1,000 years from now.
Each of the pieces, each of these blazes are one of the bananas that you got to grab all the bananas. Right. And so there's so many of these that I literally have thousands of pictures of these formations with figures in them and stuff. And if you look at the art on my last video, the thumbnail, that there's clearly a girl's face, and a man's kind of hard to see on the right side, but there's art in there. If nobody recognizes archaeology, I can make a killing on art.
Right. Well, you put together some neat pieces too, I think, with how you add in the color and stuff on the art that you find out there. I think it's pretty cool.
I run it through an AI program to paint them.
Cool. Well, hey, I do need to jump off and get some sleep and stuff. So, hey, I don't even know how many people are in the chat room, but it's been great chatting with you guys tonight and hanging out with Bill and I and just talking chase, no real subject matter or structure. We're just here to talk and chat with you guys. So hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. And I don't know when I'll plan on doing the next show. I'm going to be taking some vacation, and we're actually, for Father's Day next weekend, we're going up camping in Colorado. So up near Mancos area. So beautiful area. We like to go camping and stuff. So I will be out of the net probably for the next week or two. So anyway, Bill, you got any last words or anything you want to say?
I'm too scrambled. I would have had to think of that long ago or write it down.
Okay. Are you doing any other shows upcoming or planning anything, or you just kind of go on the fly?
I might go searching tomorrow. That's all I have. I got to look and see if the roads are open to my other campground and figure out where I want to have my nobody will probably show up except for maybe Jason.
Yeah. Jason
North Face.
Oh, North Face.
Cool. Yeah. And maybe Nevin showed up. That's where I got my searcher coin.
Right on. Cool.
Nevin gave me my searcher
Yeah.
coin.
Well, we'll definitely.
Yeah.
I'm up for meeting up with you sometime in Pagosa, and having
Yeah.
a beer or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's probably about
No problem.
midway for the both of us.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a little more midway for me.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, Will,
Yep.
you have a good night, and
I think it's 100 for me and 50. Oh, maybe no. If you're in Farmington, it is midway.
it's about an hour and a half for me to 2 hours to get up there. So
yeah, I ain't been to Farmington since the 90s for a wedding.
Well, you're not missing much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right, buddy.
Okay.
Well, everybody in the chat room, thanks for hanging out with us a little bit tonight, and we will catch you all on the flip side. Have a good night. Bill, stick around for a sec.